pregnant while I was in the industry was the best thing ever.
It happens. I don't know if that makes sense, but it just happens.
Especially being a first-time mom.
I've got precious cargo now, you know.
Oh, she's pregnant.
Working in this demanding environment as a pregnant woman was quite challenging because obviously I didn't want to give myself any harm. I didn't want to bring my baby or myself any harm. You know, so I had to be more careful in times where, and instances where I used to be able to push myself physically. I was trying to not do that so much.
You know, being African, you can only disclose your pregnancy after a certain time of finding out that you're pregnant. So now I'm caught in a pickle of, do I tell HR that, especially now because now there is bed rest and I need to, I think I kept it to myself and just told my boss for at least another 5 weeks. And eventually told everybody, I think it was 2.5 months or so.
For me, my biggest challenge with pregnancy was fatigue. I had insane fatigue because we work long hours and you have to concentrate full on. I struggled hard, and also you can't drink anything for energy levels, right? So that was my most challenging, and that's how I got to also in the beginning to tell the first people I told, because I was falling asleep. So I would have to say, listen, I'm actually pregnant, so this is what's happening. And then all of a sudden it was making sense to me. It was like, oh my gosh, okay, it makes sense now. For me, that was my biggest challenge. But then with everything else, I just moved with it,
As a pregnant woman, you're going through a lot of things. You go through a lot of emotions. Sometimes you're tired, but having to do what has been expected for you to be doing at that time, or what you've been doing for years, hasn't changed. But pregnancy hasn't changed anything. I knew that I was just caught up in a situation, but it hasn't changed what I had to do at that moment.
You're dealing with a lot of emotions, right? But for me, it was all about energy and where I channel my energy, because I'm a very bubbly person. I want to be everywhere, but I just had to constantly remind myself that I've got precious cargo now, It's not just me alone, but also just give that energy out in doses. When I'm on air, give it to the viewers, but but also preserve myself, to make sure that it's like a comrades marathon. You've got to build up the endurance and pace yourself throughout. But being in broadcasting is just a natural energizer for me. So I never felt as if I'm exhausted, I'm drained, or I had to dig deep. I just absolutely loved being here, but also understood that I have to sustain myself.
Here we go. It's time to show the world. We gonna rise up.
I didn't want the stigma of, she's pregnant. Now we've just given her this role. Now she can't do it because she's pregnant. And at the end of it, there was do I risk my health? Then I was like, you know what? If it comes to a point where they're not going to be understanding when I need to take time off certain times because I can't be on an OB, or when I need to be in studio instead of traveling or being on a plane and being in a foreign city, because I wanted to be closest to my gynae as much as I could at a certain time. But I had the most amazing bosses around me who understood, and they said, you know what, we'll take the cue from you. Whatever you need, we'll support you through it. So I'm one of the lucky women that could have a healthy pregnancy, and I still maintained, and I did work at my pace. I traveled when I felt like I was strong enough to travel, but I stayed in studio when I felt like I couldn't.
Traveling while pregnant can be quite stressful because some things that you experience could be motion sickness. I had a huge sensitivity to perfume and any scents, so working on an all-female production was tough because everyone wakes up in the morning and puts on perfume, and I just wanted to smack everyone.
Obviously, you could travel at until you were pregnant at a certain time. So there wasn't really much to it because, we travel well, we get to the best hotels. So there wasn't anything that I can really complain about, So that I won't say anything to it. I didn't feel like I'm being overexerted or anything.
It has been amazing. I never had to worry about it. I had the best support ever. I had people who understood what it is like and how it felt like, even though they didn't know how it felt like. But from judging from how I looked, probably they understood how it felt like to be pregnant. So the support was amazing.
I believe that pregnancy isn't a disease. So it shouldn't be a hindrance to anything I'd like to do.